Well, whenever they were like super hot, my grandparents bought like boxes and boxes and boxes of them. And if you bought a car during, I don't know if it was December or whatever, you got a Cabbage Patch Kid. And so when all the boxes, I remember this, I was little, and all the boxes came to my grandparents' house, and they had them all at their house, and all the grandkids got to go and pick whichever one they wanted. So I had a Cabbage Patch doll.
That is awesome.
I think his name was Roy. That's all I remember.
Okay.
Do not write that down. Do not write
that. Will be a TBT coming soon to a gifted Facebook page.
I don't have it. I don't have it.
We'll find them on the internet. That's great.
Yeah, that was cool. Even though I didn't even know what they were, it was still cool.
That is great. That is great.
And I think my sister got 2. Yeah. Girls.
I have 3 of them. What can I say?
Only girl, always spoiled.
Our girls redeemed their Christmas gift last night. So we went to see Queen. We bought tickets in October, and I'd almost forgotten that we even bought them on pre-sale. And the concert was last night. So that was pretty fun.
How was Adam Lambert?
Very Adam Lambert. Extravagant to the extreme, but man, he can sing. Yep. And the stage show was just spectacular.
Good. That's always fun.
I could have sold my tickets and made $4,000 profit yesterday.
Wow. You should have.
Well, as I said to George, the retirement rebel, you have to remember, George, that money is not as important as memories.
Oh, there you go.
So that was.
So your girls went? Your girls like Queen?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah. They're quite old in their music choice in a way, actually. I guess they've been brought up by a dad who loves music, I guess. Anyway.
You raised them to like what you like.
Well, they heard it so much, right? Plus the new movie that came out, if you've seen Bohemian Rhapsody, I mean, it is an excellent movie.
I didn't see it. But
that's what I hear. I haven't seen it either, but I hear it's really good.
I've seen it 4 times now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I have a neighbor who is just, he has such an amazing media room and makes great food. And he invited me over on Saturday night because he said, do you want to come over for dinner and watch a movie? I went, sure. And he'd already picked it. Went, I have seen it before, but okay. It's all good. Oh, we've got the cat.
I always seem to have this cat.
Is this the blind one?
This is the blind one.
And the blind one's called?
Stevie, of course.
Oh, like Wonder.
Exactly.
No wonder. Okay. No particular order to my agenda here, except I wanted to action items specifically. The blog, the character reveals, the Facebook group, Facebook ad spend, the 5-day imagination challenge, partnerships for promotions, mixed video, which we already talked about, Kim, your video with Peggy, and then doing the Katie reveal as well. So that.
Doing the Peggy what?
I wasn't quite sure what we're going to do with the Peggy video.
Oh, okay.
In terms of context, how best to share that and use that, whether that's going to be in.
You know, I was thinking it would be really good to do if she'd ever give us our afterword, because it'd be a great thinking, thing after that. So
I'm happy to caption it like we did with Nick's. I mean, that one came out really well, I thought, and having his book cover up and that page did that, and then having the slide at the end came out really quite well, I thought. So
great.
Hopefully he'll like it when he ever opens his email, Kim, right?
If ever.
He did say he didn't open email very often to me when I was there. So
he doesn't.
That's funny. Well, use Messenger and send it to him.
I could.
Yeah, you're his friend. Yeah.
So are we filming today? Are we doing Katie?
I hope so. I got it in my head, so that would be great.
Did you see the thing I posted for it?
I did, yes. Yeah, it was really good, and it was a great caption. Cartoon from Brian in it, yeah. Oh, we were going to talk about Brian. Let's go back.
Okay, what about Brian?
The video that we have of the three of you in the Illustrator reveal for the group. Is it a green light, or would you like to do another one?
What do you mean?
So what he's talking about, Paul, is that the drip email that's about to go out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's short and sweet and quick and to the point. And then it says, once you're in the group, check out this video interview where we talk with our illustrator, Brian Merslock. He talks about the process of creating illustrations for the book. And I told Jonathan that you and I have spoken about how I don't care for that video because it didn't come the way we had envisioned that it was going to come. So I just want to check with you before we say, okay, use it again, that we really want to use that video.
I'm fine with it because that's what Brian did, was explain, because I think Brian was self-conscious that his illustrations were on there without any explanation. So that's what the video is his explanation. So I'm fine with that. I say, let's do it. Let's get it out there and go for it.
Okay, there's your answer, Jonathan.
Got it? Fantastic. Wonderful. Perfect. Yes. Kim and I were also talking briefly about how excited I got when I was looking at Bob's catalog of courses, and you talked about the magic in the mind and the 6 faculties that you're going to give away in the book. And then I was just on this who moved my cheese thing in my brain, and then we talked about, are you a Katie or a Cheryl or a Peter or a James? And I got chills every time I think about it, because I think this motivational talk is going to be so powerful.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. So I will look back at that, but obviously we can't talk about the 6 pieces until we do the 6 reveals. So that's why I wanted to get Katie in. And the other thing we did was we've done a countdown clock. I had that Eurasia song on my head, you know, the final countdown. So we can change it, but basically I did 90 days from next Monday, which takes us to mid-October. And I know we're talking at length about dates exactly of when you're going to order those 100 books and so on. So I put it all into a calendar. We've dropped a lot of special events into that calendar between now and then as well. But I wanted you to see that and feel if you think that's a realistic 90 days.
So when you say you created a countdown, where?
So I emailed the two of you. I emailed the two of you a fillable countdown calendar.
When?
About an hour ago.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. It was specifically to just show. I mean, I can bring it up if you like, but it should be there in your email.
It's the final countdown. Okay. Okay, so just check that out.
Yeah, if you could look at it, and then that shows you what the 90 days looks like.
Okay. All right, and then Kim and I can kind of go over that. Kim and I can go over that too and see what we think.
Yeah, and then what we can do each week is look a week ahead and just look at these national days and decide specifically which ones we want to pick and get very specific with stories. And I just, the last couple of weeks, I feel like our social media, we've been treading water and we've been keeping out there and keeping a consistent brand, and we're motivating, but we're not going deep. And we got to go deep. And I think once we have that 90-day countdown clock ticking,
yeah,
we're all going to feel that sense of purpose and urgency. So,
okay,
yeah.
Great.
So we got that going on. The other thing we talked about was showing up in the Facebook group live via Zoom webinar at certain times of the week. Well, the three of us could interview just like this, and people could join us and ask questions and so on. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there is, with your schedules, if there's a specific time that we could benchmark every week, let's just say Thursday at 3 or Saturday morning at 10 or whatever that might be, that became a regular drop-in slot for people for the group. And again, I don't know if you can just talk that between yourselves. I mean, I'm fairly flexible, and it could be me or Lindsay or just the two of you directly talking about it. But I think if people know to show up and that you're going to be live and we can talk about the 5-day imagination challenge, we can talk about, they can ask you more questions about the characters and what it's like to write a book and how you managed to do that and what it's like to work with Bob Proctor and Peggy McCall. And I think we could find a lot of things to talk about.
I do have a question to ask you, and I want to be sure that that you understand I'm not being critical here when I ask this question.
Yeah.
Is the Facebook Live webinar thing fixed? Do we know that the next time we do it, it'll work the way we think it will?
What it was, it wasn't me. It was, I did it with Jemmy 2 days before, and it was like no trouble at all. I've done it since, and it was no trouble at all. It was a Facebook glitch. I mean,
it's us. That's what it is. It's us.
I didn't even make virtual coffee today because we had no internet here at all. It was a nightmare.
Oh
no. So stuff happens. I mean, I got Lindsay to do it instead, but we had brand new internet put into our home yesterday. 600 megabit speed upload is meant. HomePod.
Real good internet, huh?
Except I have two systems, and the deal was leave the old system, put the new one in when I'm happy that the new one works.
Then you'll take out the old one.
Yeah, and they didn't. They disconnected both systems, which I didn't know until this morning when I had neither. So, anyway.
Bummer.
Nothing's perfect in this world, but I've tried this Facebook Internet Zoom webinar interface, and it should work great. If we're already in and we practice and then we just press the broadcast button, it should just go straight in.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you
allowing for the Facebook gods, with the lowercase g? Yes, it should.
Do you do your Shaving Chronicles the same day at the same time?
No.
How come?
I tend to not do them just because I'm going to do them. I tend to do them when I have something to say.
Oh, okay.
They're typically the same time. They're normally around 8:30 in the morning, which is typically the time that I would shave. It's not when I get up, but it's hours after. But that seems to be a good time for engagement. And of late, I've done them on a Monday, but not every week. They're not as formal as they're going to become. I think I've got logos now, which I didn't have before, and I have a website name which I haven't used yet because I'll create a landing page. But yeah, I would think later in the afternoon on a weekday would be a wonderful thing if you're both home and ready to chat.
Okay.
Because what times you normally have a meeting on a Thursday as well, right?
We what?
You normally on a Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know if it could be part of that sequence between this and that and the other, or I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But
hey, Jonathan, on this camera, do I need to do like an update on it? Have you noticed that it keeps like...
There is an update a couple of days ago, actually.
How do you do that?
The Zoom icon completely changes. The screen looks completely different.
Well, no, I did the Zoom. I'm talking about the Logitech camera that you sent me.
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't remember being an update recently on this camera. It looks clear to me.
Well, no, but every once in a while, like I'm talking and there's a delay.
I think that's internet. It happens with George so much, but he is a bit further away. I don't know if that makes any difference, but yeah, no, I don't think that's. I think that's a streaming issue, not a camera issue.
I don't know.
Yeah, there was a big Zoom update this week. Okay, the 5-day challenge rather than the 30-day challenge. Are we going to do multiple 5-day challenges between now and October?
Probably.
So when do we want to do the first one?
2 weeks.
From today? So the 25th?
Kim and I have been studying and reading some more about imagination. When I told Kim about being in the virtual coffee last week, and doing, or I know it was Lindsay's thing,
Yeah.
power content and doing the video spiel. And everyone was like, well, there's we see no reason why we should study imagination. Like, I'm not going to miss out on anything. So I'm like, we got to figure out what it is we have the program, but we got to figure out what the draw is, like how to word that.
Yes. Yes.
So that people.
Yeah, Lindsay and I talked about that this morning, and we were thinking about the amount of people who have actively used their imagination for amazing games. Like Richard Branson, he did a speech last week at the Virgin Adventurers, or Virgin Adventures. It's his new cruise ship company. And he said he's wanted to create his own cruise ship company since he was 22 years old.
Mm.
I never lost sight of what this is going to look like. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how old the guy is. He's 70-something, right? I think. So for 50 years, he's had that vision in his head. And it's the same with what he was saying about his galactic, whatever it is, the space one.
Yeah.
Again, he said, when I was a kid, I knew that there was a way of traveling to space and coming back again in the same ship. Bob talked about what JFK, when he asked that professor at NASA, what would it take to get us to the moon? He went, the desire to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we could pull on lots of real-time actuals, like nobody said it was possible. And George was talking this morning about the Spirit of St. Louis that flew across the Atlantic. He was almost condemned to hell because it was against godly principles to fly in the air for that long, apparently. But he believed he could. So I think if we find lots, and these would be great social media shares too, lots of imagination challenge success stories, I think that could be super cool. And especially if we pick all 6 faculties and tie that into it as well. I mean, reason, if you just say reason says that we should be able to walk upside down on the ceiling, but gravity says you can't. And say, okay, well, we just need to find boots that stick to the ceiling, And I don't know how much we could pull out of the imagination stories out of the book of all the things that weren't possible, but then were possible because they used the mental faculties. But I think that would be a fabulous seeding into the challenge.
Well, essentially anything that has been created physically was first created in your imagination. So, and Kim and I have been talking about that, and I put a post into one of the Bob Proctor groups and asked a question about it to see what people said. So we are trying to kind of solidify that.
Okay.
So that we can make it so that people will want to respond. Because see, we look at it completely different. And so that was good that I heard that from you guys, because we look at it, we know why imagination is important, so yeah, just interesting.
I was liking it. When I talk to people, I said, one of my favorite fiction characters is Peter Pan. Especially when Disney remade Pan with Robin Williams.
Uh-huh.
That was such a great film.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly he's back to being this little boy inside, but he was also a dad with kids at this point, and he just let rip of his imagination again, and it was an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Alan Mance just done a coin series of Peter Pan, funny enough. So that just jogged my memory again. So those kind of stories, videos, I think would be fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we can find some good, we found a quote by Einstein that says, Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. That's a pretty bold statement that can kind of spark some interest.
Wow. I love it. And he wasn't a physicist first, was he? Was he a mathematician or something first?
I don't know the chronology.
He was not a relative physicist, a man who talks about physics, first and foremost. I watched a documentary on him. It was a movie, actually, with the guy from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Depp?
Johnny Depp.
No, Barbosa.
Oh. Okay. I don't know that name.
Yeah, he played Albert Einstein.
Interesting.
Quite a horrible man in his early years to his wife and children.
Oh, shoot.
Beyond horrible, actually. Yeah. Not a nice dad.
You're right. He was a mathematician.
There we go. So you can say something as boring as doing math turns into the theory of relativity. So he used his imagination.
And he didn't speak until he was 3.
Wow. That's interesting. There you go.
Wow. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's create swipe files around all these characters that we could talk about. And put this, and these would be great little short videos that would be discussion points in our live group and so on. That would be awesome. Okay. I want to keep talking about this conversation about how we get 500 books sold in October at the Proctor Gallagher event between Bob and Peggy.
So I did have some conversation with some people who have been in PGI for a while, and everyone told me like that there's no way. But then I thought, well, I bet he'd do it if we donated the books. If we gave the books, I bet he'd put them in. They said no way that he would buy someone else's book to put in there.
That he would spend 5% of what you invested in him back? Interesting.
Well, I don't think he probably looks at it that way.
No.
He probably looks at it like, I have how many clients,
Yeah.
But I thought about that, and I thought about giving and gaining, and I thought, well, that's not actually, I'm not opposed to the idea of offering something like that, but I don't know.
Well, I'm the rebel in all of this. And I'll give you 2 instances where I totally was told that will never happen, and it did. In the mastermind that I'm in with Lisa Sasevich, she has what's called like a success panel, where she'll have 5 individual people who over the last years had success using her program. And it's 5 bar stools, 2 minutes, microphone goes, whatever. And I was on it. I went, it's kind of okay, but I really want to do something different. I want to be memorable, and I don't want to be another talking head saying, you're amazing, yes, I made lots of money, and I did exactly what you told me to do, and it works. So we were in Las Vegas, and I managed to get hold of a single red rose. And after I had finished my talk, I was about to re-sign for the mastermind for another year. And 400 people in the audience in Las Vegas. And I got off my bar stool. I walked up to Lisa with a mic in my hand and said, I have a question for you. Okay. I said, we are in Vegas, and it's pretty famous that things happen in Vegas. So I got down on one knee, and I had someone come from the wings and give me this red rose. I'm married. And Debbie's like, what is he doing?
What is he doing?
And I gave her this rose and said, would you be my mentor for another year? The crowd just went nuts. She went gaga, and it was like, thank you. 2 years later, I'm on the same success panel, and it was just after Gemma's wedding, and she has 2 huge jumbo screens either side of the stage, and I wanted to show pictures of Gemma's wedding, because I can say that we just had our daughter married in Provence. I'm like, okay. But if you saw the photographs of me walking down the aisle in Provence and her with her mom, then you get it. So again, I said, could I show a couple of pictures? Absolutely not. If you do them, everybody else wants them. It's never been done. I went, okay, fine. So I went to the back to the production manager. I said, Blue, here's a flash drive. There's 2 pictures. Can you just put them up in the middle of my talk? I'm the kind of guy who's going to ask for forgiveness rather than permission, but I guarantee you it'll melt the audience. Melted the audience.
Did it?
Of course.
Well, I'm not saying I won't ask still, but...
and I'm not saying you need to give Bob a red rose,
Yeah.
But it's got to be something that makes you stick out, that makes you different. And you have that between the two of you. So we just got to leverage that thought process.
Yeah.
And I'm a rule breaker, so.
What is it? What is it that we have that makes us different? What is it? Why should Bob say yes?
Because you've done something that most people don't do, against the odds of most people thinking it couldn't be done to begin with. Not only that, you've just gone so deep into your cerebral imagination with these stories of pink concrete and empty suits of armor and ogres and mazes and doors with no holes that suddenly manifest keyholes and chasms that Evel Knievel can drive over. I mean, come on, you guys. I mean, nobody comes up with this kind of stuff. But you did, and you did it in context to the tenets that he taught you on your little stick, man, of how you take that line off the brain and just break the boundaries.
Paul, we could send him a singing telegram. We know where he lives.
Yes, we do. We have to do something with doggies. He loves his little doggies.
He loves dogs.
He loves his doggies, and he loves grilled cheese sandwiches.
Yes, and grilled cheese sandwiches. And he has 2 Pomeranians. And he just lost one.
Oh, he did?
Missy Love. Do you remember at the lunch when he was talking about Missy Love?
Yep. Yeah, I know her name.
Yes. So Missy Love was his Pomeranian who would bite him. And Jonathan.
About that, yeah.
Okay, so what he would do every day, Missy Love would not let him pick her up, but she wanted to go with him to the studio. So he would say, "Come on, Missy Love, let's go." And she would let him pick her up, carry her to the studio, but he had to put her down right away. And then when they were done working for the day in the studio, he'd say, "Come on, Missy Love, let's go." And she would let him pick her up and carry her back to the house. And again, had to put her down right away. It was the only time that she didn't bite him. And Missy Love is now gone.
So if it was me, and Gina's the gatekeeper, right?
Gina's the gatekeeper.
And she's lovely. I didn't get to speak to her, but I liked her very much.
Yeah, she's great.
I could find out a calendar day that Bob was going to be home and not that committed to recording, and I throw out, if we did something like Skip the Dishes and Tim Hortons, and they delivered Bob a beautiful grilled cheese sandwich, and at the same time, a car arrived to take Linda to the spa, and a doggy daycare people came and took the 2 dogs to the day spa and said, "Bob, we're buying you lunch, we're giving you a free house. We need an hour of your time because we have a proposal for you. Please sit down, enjoy the sandwich. Linda and the dogs are taken care of." That alone would make him stop and listen, wouldn't it?
It would make him stop.
Oh, absolutely.
Stop and listen.
She's getting his wife out of the house. She gets to go have a spa, pedicure, whatever it is, massage. The dogs come back all foo-foo with little ribbons and smelling roses, and then he has a grilled cheese sandwich, and just say, "Hey, this is what we want to do at goal setting. We want to be the Puppy Academy or the
Or the Peggy McCall.
Goldfine. Sorry.
Phil.
We want to be that story, and this is why we want to be that story, in all humility. So much so, we want to give our book to everybody, and we've even found a donor, aka Paul's grandma, to give everybody a book.
Well, that's what I figured.
To everybody, but we want some stage time to talk about how you genuinely took us from A to B, how we unlocked our brains, how we created not just the power of imagination, but we manifested it in a book that we wrote together without even sitting together. The book is here. You get a car, kind of Oprah style. And we want that whole room to say, yes, and help us become a New York Times bestseller in 7 days from that point. Slap down challenge made.
Wow. I wonder if Bob's like Jonathan and he's hard to sell.
I'm an easy sell for many things.
You know, Bob is a very kind man.
Yes.
And I would like to hold the idea that he could not say no to that.
I would too.
I think that you're right. They tend to protect him because you know, I think to keep him out of the situations because he knows that he won't say no, you know.
But this is, I mean, each time I did it for Lisa, yes, it was a ton of self-promotion, and I got major kudos for doing things people had never done. And I had to go through a PA, and I had to go through a stage manager, and I had to go through Vegas stage security and all the different things behind the scenes. So it wasn't as spontaneous as it looked. There was a lot of structure behind it because everybody said, Lisa hates surprises. The one thing she hates more than anything else is a surprise. I'm like, don't worry, I got it covered. And on the rose thing, I did bring her to, because I was in a private lunch with her. I said, just so you know, I know you hate surprises, but I have one coming up for you that you are going to love and is going to wow your audience and is going to increase your sales. And she went, okay. I said, I can tell you or you can trust me. And I did tell her, and she said, I would love that. And she did love that, and she's used that story many times. One thing I forgot to do was tell my wife I was doing it and buy her a rose. Because she's sitting and she's like, what is he doing? Because I just had this idea, and I went to the concierge to buy a red rose. They wanted $55.
For one rose?
One?
I went, where's the nearest florist? And he said, well, there's a Whole Foods a few blocks away. So in brand new brogues, like listed, I walked to Whole Foods to buy a $5 red rose to bring it back because I wasn't going to spend $55. But I didn't think about buying two. Anyway, forgiveness is better than permission, and I did it. And then the second time around, the pictures of the wedding, I mean, Lisa already knew. She said, they won't do it. And I went, they will. When he sees the pictures, he'll do it. And they're the pictures that I have on my laptop, and yeah, it worked it was, people cried with joy because the wedding pictures were just, and I said, this was a wedding that Sassy paid for. That's what our mastermind is called, Lisa Sasevich. So, because there's no way I could have come up with that kind of money had I not have changed my paradigm on how I do business and how I leverage my time. So it was a perfect example for people to buy the program, like what's possible if you commit, right? Yeah. So that's what we're doing with Bob. We're showing what's possible from a couple of different people, because he kind of did the Puppy Academy people to death by the end of the 3 days, in my opinion. You know, and between him and Phil, it's like, there's a lot of other people in the room that I'm sure have a story too, but you know, maybe there is golden child for this event, all events, I don't know. But you should be. I believe that you should be.
Okay, well, we will start visualizing that.
Grilled cheese, doggy day spa, Linda to another spa. Look after the people that he loves most. How can he say no? Especially if you give him food.
Plus what?
Especially if we give him food. We get the best gourmet grilled cheese in Toronto and have it skip the dishes delivered. Or we get a personal chef to turn up at his house and just make it for him and sell it to him.
That's the best idea. So it's hot.
Yeah. Yeah, because he lives kind of out in the suburbs.
Anything's possible, but
right.
And I think if you sold that to Gina, and just say, hey, I want 10 minutes. I got this idea. I think Bob will love it. We have an intention to help.
Does that mean we have to go to Toronto?
No, you just want to get him on a Zoom call.
Okay.
I don't think. Well, you could. But you could do a kiss.
We're here to bring you a grilled cheese.
Bye-bye. Here, hello, bye-bye.
I'd almost like do a Mission Impossible. This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds unless you press this button and you're both sitting in the Zoom call ready. Something like that.
Yeah.
We've got to do something radically different to get you on stage to get that happening.
Okay.
Well, you know, one of the things too that I'm kind of swirling in my head. So Paul, remember when you go to Bob's house and in the basement where Linda's office is all of that stuff that hangs on his wall. All the things like the letters from presidents and the pictures of him with Clinton and all of those things, all those big memories.
Mm-hmm.
What if we did something that would hang on the wall? Like, I mean, and I haven't thought this through, like the dedication of our book with a copy of the book cover and in a beautiful frame or something. And we tell Gina that we just have a thank you gift we want to present to him. And we do the whole thing through Gina. And then we surprise the audience and say, we have a copy of the book for you.
Oh, do that there. Oh, yeah.
And do it there.
I mean, these two awards that he was given, I mean, I don't know what they were called, the gold Emmy-looking type awards. I mean, he had a childish glee about his face when he looked at those that Tommy brought up, didn't he?
Yeah, so Tommy's Telly Awards.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd seen those before.
He hadn't seen those before. No, I know he hadn't seen. He didn't even know Tommy had won them. So when Tommy won them, he decided that he was going to hold on to them until Paradigm Shift and present them at Paradigm Shift. So that was a total surprise to Bob.
There you go.
Great.
Maybe we could get Tommy involved and
We
create
could.
a video that goes on stage before you guys even come on stage. Imagine two people from different walks of life meet in this very room. Paul Cullen from Ford Motor Company and Kim from the equine world, and they come together and their imaginations are so unchallenged that they just can't sit down and, you know, bring a story up and say, yeah, and have these crazy little stick videos of people's sort of brains exploding or whatever until they sit down and they put it together, and yeah, could be fun.
It would be really fun.
The audience would love it.
They would love it.
I don't think he did the best job at creating enough personal attention between him and his programs. He almost sold by negative selling. Like, you'd be stupid not to buy this. You know, why wouldn't you buy this? You know, I don't think there was in my opinion, when the way I sell, he didn't create enough desire around what's possible. I mean, he did with Phil, but I mean, he was already a producer and he was already in Hollywood. He just needed to go to the next level. I think there was a lot of people in that room ready to drop money. Maybe they did. I don't know what the sales were, but there wasn't enough desire. Like, I want what she's having on the stage for me, in my world. And I think you could both show that from two extremes, you know, of when you arrived at Bob's event.
Well, I think there's a lot of truth to that. Because Bob is criticized at times for overselling from the stage.
Oh, I didn't think he sold very much at all.
In fact, he usually addresses that.
Yeah.
Because
someone will criticize him
every event. Yeah.
That he pushes too hard.
So maybe he tamed it down this time. I don't know.
It didn't seem to be as much as it usually is.
I was surprised that there wasn't as much. Especially on the last day when he wrapped it up. I mean, there was no like come to Jesus moment. You know, if you leave this room without making a decision, then
he doesn't do that. He's more like, you're listening to this information, and guess what? Statistically, only 3% of you will still be involved in this. Yeah. You know. And so it is kind of like, it's more like an in your face, like you're probably not going to be able to do it. You know, like you're Gucci, and it's like, yeah, you can't buy my stuff. Yeah. You can't afford it.
Yeah, it was negative selling almost, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then when then everyone wants it because you can't have it, you know? So I don't know. Yeah. But believe me, he sells a ton.
Oh, that I have no doubt.
He sells a ton because what happens is is you get, like with me, I got motivated. When I went the first time, it was like, okay, I want to move forward. I want to be doing this more. And so then I met with Arash, who was my sales rep, and I'm like, what should I do? Well, and then in that conversation, I spent $15,000 and didn't even know how much I spent, 15.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Till it came through as my notification from American Express. I was like, ah!
And then you did it again.
And I did it again and again and again. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I think you could be poster children for him.
Well, I've seen that long ago. I visualized that a lot, being on the stage there, that we are the poster child. And, but I haven't done that for a while. I kind of stopped that. I don't know why. So I guess I just need to get back to doing that, because I do think it's a great opportunity for us. And, so
the law of attraction, as I'm beginning to wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
And people have challenged me all week. It's like, do you have any idea how much you actually do live that all the time? I went, no. So interesting how many people have challenged me on my disbelief. But anyway, but when I was at Lisa Sasovich's first event, which was November 2015, and they had the success panel, and Debbie and I listened to it, I said, if I join this program, I will be on that success panel next time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was.
Because Jonathan, you're what's known as an unconscious competent.
Is that
there are things that are in harmony that you just do automatically that are part of who you are, but not everyone is like that.
Okay.
So then what happens with an unconscious competent is that you have that success and you attract those things, like what you just said, like I'm going to do this and I'm going to be there. Yeah. And you attract that. And so then what he does with an unconscious competent is when you become aware of it, of that there's a law behind what you're doing, then you can take it and you can just go crazy with it, Yeah. So, but yeah.
Probably where I'm at. And I'm super surprised that in the 2 weeks that I came back from Paradigm Shift, that nobody picked up the phone and spoke to me about my experience and where I'm going to take it.
Me too. You have a really bad salesman. Who was the
Chris somebody?
Chris Murray.
He's psyched.
Chris Murray is his. Chris Murray is mine.
Really?
And I haven't heard from Chris since he called me to say, I'm your new guy.
I'm gonna call Arash and give him Jonathan's name.
Chris WhatsApped me. Oh, that's a different Chris actually. That's Chris Regis. Because originally I got this thing from WhatsApp way back, and then, but it was another Chris at the call at the event. And I wasn't rude to him the first lunch, but I wasn't super conducive. And on the second day, I assumed I was sitting on the same table, and he looked at me, he's like, why are you on my table? And I went, can I sit here or not? And he went, some other people might be coming, but they're not here yet, so yeah, I guess. I went, wow, way to make me feel welcome, buddy.
What? Are you talking about like in the lunch?
Yeah.
So you sat at his table, and he didn't want you to sit there?
Not the second day, because I didn't buy the first day.
What's his name? Chris what?
Murray.
Murray. Back at my badge. What did I do with my badge again? Oh, it's in my jacket. You had those metallic ones, didn't you? I know. It's inside my. Oh, it's inside my jacket upstairs. No, I don't have, because I normally hang all my lanyards on I have a multiple lanyard connection, but
it's okay. We're beyond that now.
No, it's just, I said, so tell me about Matrix. And he went, I said, when is it? He said, it's in July. I said, well, that's really close. How many people go? So it's full already. We're trying to get a few more in, but there's probably around 120. It's like, wow, that's a lot of people. I said, where is it? In Toronto. I said, so if I'm a Canadian and it's in Toronto, can I pay for it in Canadian dollars? He said, no, it's in US dollars. I went, oh. I mean, these are all buying signals, and he didn't pick up on any of them. And I was shocked that nobody's approached me since I came back. Not bothered, but shocked.
Be careful what you wish for. If you get a new salesperson, they'll never leave you alone.
Oh, I love the sales process. It's so fun. So fun.
So Randy's salesperson is
be.
Monica, and Monica is mean. So when Randy said, you know, Kim, I think I'd like to go to Matrix, and I said, then don't talk to Monica.
She's mean?
Oh, Monica's really mean. He didn't like her at all. When he met her at Paradigm Shift, the first time, he did not care for her at all. Yeah, he said, don't worry, I won't talk to her.
Okay.
His name is Chris something. I've got his calendar here. And it wasn't Chris Reed, that was another Chris. Chris Murray, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And then I had to write to him back and say, oh, by the way, my first name is Jonathan. My surname is Christian. And he went, oh, yeah, sorry. But he kept calling me Christian. I was like, okay, Murray.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, so that's what I would be doing.
Okay. We'll work on that.
Okay.
We'll build that image.
So the Peggy McCall video, Kim, do you want me to caption that and play with it like we did Mix?
Yeah, let's do something cool with it.
Okay, can do that.
Make it a little more gifted and a little less Peggy.
Oh, I've just got this picture of her going down this Hollywood staircase with all these feathers and all these men and blow ties, sort of. Oh, yeah. Very Audrey Hepburn-y. Anyway. All right. One other thing I've got, and we never talked about an ad spend for Facebook. Paul said, tell me what you think and we'll talk about it, and I didn't. Could we start? Andrea Ball and Lindsay and I spent an extensive time this morning talking about you, and we have this Bob Proctor lookalike audience created on Facebook now. Anybody who has got anything to do with Bob Proctor would see our Facebook ads, which I think is, and it's between ages 35 and 55, and lots of, it's about 200,000 people that we've created this target audience. We thought the best thing to do would be to run one of the character reveals for 5 to 10 days, and then just keep targeting these people. It's like, this is kind of interesting, and get them to download the Imagination Guide and or join the group as part of the call to action. We got to refine this audience, and it's going to take some money to refine it, so the cost of conversion may not be as ideal as it will be once we work it all out. But could I run with $500 to start with?
What will that get us? Jonathan, you haven't told us anything about Facebook ad spend.
Oh, okay.
We haven't talked about it at all.
All right, no.
We don't even know what the lady said when you met with her about who's the author expert. You told us that you met with her, but we've never talked about it.
Well, here I am now. But we just had our second meeting with her today.
Okay.
So she's a Colorado lady, as Kim is, and specializes in Facebook ads specifically for campaigns to build audiences. And what we've put it to her is, we've explained the book. We have a whole series of graphics that we'll send you that are all based on the Imagination Challenge. Video ads are converting a lot better than picture ads currently on Facebook. So we were looking at having like a 15-second snippet of one of the character reveals, just to get people to click on it, and then they get to a landing page, and then they get to see the character reveal page and an opportunity to sign up for the group and download the Imagination Guide, which then gets them into our drip campaign, and then they would get a series of emails after that, sort of a typical flow that you would do. And she totally sees the passion that we have for New York Times bestseller. She totally sees the value in the book. And what we have to do now is curate a bigger audience beyond friends and family, which is where we're at today. So our goal, and The conversion rate on a Facebook page without advertising is about 3%, which is what we see when you think of the number of people that actually comment and see our posts compared to the number of people that have liked the page. But we've also seen that whenever I boosted those, when I spent $10 for a day to boost those, suddenly we were in the multiple hundreds. So it's all about getting extra eyeballs and visibility. And the idea behind the Facebook ad spend is to do exactly that, is to try and get you in front of people that have not heard of you yet and spark an interest so that we have a much bigger audience to capture. So that's the principle. She said to me that if we wanted to try and get a Facebook page to about 10,000 people, just as we'd probably need an ad spend of about $23,000. Because the average cost of conversion can be about $1.30 to get people to click on an ad to go to a page, which is a lot of fun. In Google AdWords spend, if I was trying to get someone to click on one of my clients for orthodontists, we're paying between $8 and $12 a click. There's also Pinterest ad spend as well. So the reality of it is Facebook started as a free campaign. If I was to go to the Idaho News, whatever your local newspaper is for, and say, we'd like an ad for Gifted on the front page in full color, bottom right, to go out weekly, would that be okay? And they would say, sure, absolutely. And then when they said, but it'll cost you $1,800 a week, you just say, oh no, I want it for free. Well, it doesn't happen. And that's where we're at with Facebook now, is that now that we have an established brand and basis and content, we've got to reach the masses. And part of the strategy will be to target our lookalike audience out of the PGI group and spend money to attract them.
Do we feel that the PGI lookalike group is the best group to target?
At this point.
Okay. Because
of the commonality of your story, because of the tenets of the book relate to the way that they received Bob's teachings. Yeah. I mean, there will be other authors. I mean, if Stellar and Timekeepers had a decent Facebook audience, we could say people who like Stellar and the Timekeepers. It's Harry Potter is too big a name to try and target. It's just too broad. We're trying to reach somewhere between 500,000 and the 2 million group, which Bob fits into, rather than the 30 million that J.K. Rowling fits into. Mm-hmm. We could find, I mean, and the other thing is there's not many books in our genre that are lookalikes, as we know, because you're trailblazing, which is a cool thing. So that's what we thought was a safe place to work with. And Andrea suggested if we spend between $500 and $1,000 on creating this target audience and testing it, that would really tell us, just what's possible on Facebook as an ad campaign.
So this is just I guess I define what you're saying. You're saying
we're almost like we're doing a Maury poll as to how many people we can get to be interested in your book. With all of the tools that we have to our hands, what we think would work best would be to do an ad campaign, which is promoting the group, promoting the engagement within the group, getting them to get into our email list, telling them about Facebook Lives, all of the pieces that they would get once they arrive. And to do that, we need to build our target audience up from the 300-400 or so that we're at right now. And it's not going to grow without a different impetus. And right. It's just the state of Facebook. 10 years ago, Facebook was free. Everything was easy. 5 years ago, you could get 10, 15 cent clicks. Now, $2, $3 is not unusual for a click. I don't want to spend anything close to that because we're selling a $14 book. We're not selling a $6,000 set of braces for your teeth or anything like that. Right. But at the same time, we're still competing in the same ad space as everybody else. So we have to be competitive. And we don't truly know the cost of a click conversion until we try.
So when you do the Facebook ad, does it only charge us if they click on it? Okay. and when they click on it, it would take them to our page.
We would send them to a specific page on the website that was designed to convert into the group. Yeah. So right now we have the imagination page, the guide page. It would be similar to that, but it would have more of a video and more context of the two of you about a little bit about your story and where you're going with this and why they would be interested in it.
Okay. I personally, I don't have a problem with doing that, but I want it to be, I want to see it all before it goes.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean,
I don't want to get a text that says, okay, here, check on here, we want to send this out tonight at 5. I want to be able to see it and know that if we're really putting money into it, that Kim and I are happy with it, and we feel we've brainstormed and we feel like it's going to be effective.
And the way they do it is through A/B testing. So we have 6 different Facebook ads that we'll run, and then Facebook will tell us through the click-through rate, which ones are more attractive. So we'll whittle it down to 2 almost straight away. And then we'll have 2 different campaigns. One would be to join the group. Another one would be to download the Imagination Challenge, and we'll see which one of those works. And all of those pieces come into that. So yeah, there's a Dropbox file which has all of the graphics and images already built into it. So I'll show you where that is. Lindsay's got the copy from the target audience that we've created. It's in Facebook AdWords Business Manager, so we can show you that. That's already done. And then I can explain how the campaign rolls out.
Okay. So you said the stuff is already created in the Dropbox?
Yeah. Pages are all. We tried to pick Facebook-worthy graphics that capture people's eyeballs enough to make them stop and scroll and look at it for a few seconds and then click. Yeah.
Well, but I thought you said video was the way to go.
Yeah. So there is. So when they will arrive on the landing page, what we want to do is have a video that explains.
Okay. So the ads video.
Video ads that we could run on Facebook too.
Oh.
But we're going to try the traditional image route first. But we want a short piece of video on that landing page. So all the landing page, all the graphics, all the Facebook ad work on our end, that's all covered. I mean, that's what we've been working on.
Right.
So that it's just the cost of the actual ad spend.
Right.
I spend little bits of money on my own just on, but we need a proper budget to run this going forward.
Okay. So then I guess, what are you thinking for the landing page? Like what would...
So it'll be not that dissimilar to the Imagination page guide itself. It just be, because we've embedded what's called pixels into the website for retargeting, so that anybody now who arrives on the website via Facebook, we can then, if they don't sign up, we can remarket to them at a lower cost. That's when you see that cookies symbol that comes up on the website, that gray box. That's they're all built, they're all embedded into this site. So we can, even the people that have been on the site already that haven't bought, we can, for 30 days when they click in, we've got the data. It's called a UTM code, which is unique something. I'm guessing. I actually don't know. She said, "Oh, the UTM code." And I was like, "Oh yeah, the UTM code." I'm nodding my head like I know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
But it's all built in, so we've done all that.
Okay. So what is this lady telling you that you don't already know?
The hyper targeting to reach the ideal audience for you. I mean, I know my skill is in building, and you've seen me talk about it so much, building rapport, building engagement, getting people to like you once they're on the page. I mean, that's what I know how to do really well. Trying to reach cold calling is not something I even want to get involved with. I hate that kind of campaign. But if we can find a warm audience that's conducive to who we want to reach, then that's why I invested this money in Andrea, to just give us that retargeting skill. Because Facebook ad campaigns have changed dramatically in the last 6 months. And truthfully, my head's spinning. And, at the end of it, I said to Lindsay, I said, I'm glad this is your jam and not mine, because even my brain isn't comprehending the math and the science that goes into this campaign. Mm-hmm. But Lindsay's, I mean, it's all in code, and she's got it.
Yeah.
And Andrea's living and breathing it and teaching it at university level, teaching it on the stage. I mean, she's literally one of the world's foremost ad spend experts.
So what is the, so you said that you've created a lookalike group that's a couple million. Is that what you said?
But the ideal lookalike should ideally be between 500,000 and 2 million.
Okay.
And the audience that we've created right now, it's small still, but we can expand it. It's about 200,000 people that we think are ideal gifted people.
Okay, so you've done 200,000.
At this point, yeah.
So what does the experts say expect as a, you know,
Conversion.
Yeah.
3 to 5%.
Okay. Okay.
And for us to achieve that, you know, we're into the 20-something plus $1,000 ad spend, which we're not doing. But if we can start, because there is a ripple effect of friends of friends. And quite often when people are on Facebook and they see what somebody else is doing, it piques their interest and they come and look for free. And you've probably seen that as well, that if I've commented or I've shared a post. But we've got to get all of our key audience, you know, super excited about this countdown clock now and where it's coming out and the goal of the bestseller.
Okay, so let me just clarify something here, make sure I'm understanding it right. So the 200,000 and the 3 to 5%, that's not the return we would the conversion we would expect from the $500 to $1,000. So what would we expect from 500 with this $500 to $1,000? What is that? What are we trying to accomplish? And what?
Find the sweet spot of the audience to advertise to.
Okay.
That's
whittle it down. You're trying to whittle down the 200,000 people. And so what do you, I mean, would we get anything from that?
We would. She actually said in this testing 2-week period, these will be the worst conversion rates you will see.
In the testing period?
Yeah.
And then we're supposed to keep going after that. Yeah, okay, all right. That's
www is a world wide web, right?
Yeah.
If only if it was easy, we'd all be doing it. But I mean, sure, we're going to have our email campaigns. We're trying to get on Bob's stage. We're trying to do lots of other things. Like we had 7,000 people look at our Pinterest boards this last month. I mean, that's a lot of people.
7,000?
Look at our Pinterest boards.
Wow.
Yeah.
We should start doing recipes.
Yep. We had, what was that, Anna? 7,000 impressions this month on so far.
Okay, so I have an idea. So I started going on Pinterest because we're on Pinterest.
7,000 viewers in the last month.
Okay, so I clicked on a recipe on a Pinterest thing, and when it pulled up the lady's page, it had a pop-up box that said, follow me on Instagram.
Okay.
Could we do something like that with our group or our page?
Totally we can.
I mean, if we had 7,000 people, then let's do it, you know?
And Pinterest is 1/10 of the cost of Facebook ads right now, but it's more general. It's not as, you can't target it as specific. And also, with respect to Pinterest, there's a lot of moms with time on their hands who are just dreaming of their ideal bathroom and whatever else, and cookies and recipes and so on. But yeah.
But it would seem to me that if Pinterest is generating all the interest, 7,000 people in the last month, we haven't done that on Facebook. So, but
we need a call to action on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Yes, and maybe we need to be focusing on Pinterest and not.
And we talked about that today, and we still put Pinterest in terms of effectiveness number 4 behind Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. It's still not. There's a lot of eyeballs and there's a lot of intent. We don't know how much purchasing there is out of Pinterest just yet.
Sure, but 7,000 is a lot, you know.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really, really good. Yeah, so I'm just saying, I'm trying to have as many strings on my bow as I can get. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
I mean, to have a chat about it, it's just,
yeah.
I know all along we knew we were going to have to spend some money on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, and we just never talked about what it was and what we'd be getting.
No, I understand that. Yeah, no, I know. And that's what I literally met Andrea at 11:30 today. So.
Okay. Okay. I was trying to find.
If you want, I can send you a copy of the Zoom call, and you can listen to everything we talked about. A lot of it's beyond my brain, but to listen to the whole story.
Okay. Yeah, send it out. I might watch some of it, see.
And I was playing a little dumb with her because I just wanted to sort of just see what she would come up with. And when I was giving her the scenarios of what we've done, I got a really good price out of her, and I don't want her to think that I got her too cheap. But I did get a great price. But at the same time, I was wanting her to give me the ideas rather than her to just vet and validate my ideas. So I played a little bit lower key than because she doesn't really know me.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay.
I know a lot more than you'll see in that video.
Okay. Okay. I was trying to find that. I took a screenshot of that thing on Pinterest, but I don't see it. I'll have to look.
Well, we have a lady in Toronto, actually. Her name is Katie, who we just hired as well to up our Pinterest strategy. And we had one session with her, and actually, Lindsay actually messaged me and said, why don't we just pay Katie to fully optimize Gifted's Pinterest rather than just trying to do another class with her where she tries to teach us how to do it.
Yeah.
I had 6 people on this class with her, and Debbie was on it. And she came up and went, I think I need to give up social media because she's speaking a whole new language that I don't even understand. Even Anna, who's she's as sharp as a whip. I mean, that girl is so smart. I said, so what was Katie's Pinterest lecture? Shit, mind-blowing. I mean, that lady knows so much, and I kind of got where she's going, but we don't have that skill.
Huh.
And that's the thing. I mean, social media is just developing its niches in so many areas, and the need for expertise as opposed to generalism is
right. Well,
I never call myself a social media expert.
Anything digital marketing is that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But few people are getting the results that we're getting. And when I show Andrea, what we do and the websites that we build and the results, she went, this is world class. I went, oh, I know. I said, I just need the audience to see it. So they believe in what we're doing.
Uh-huh.
Did you get today's newsletter, by the way? You might have checked.
Did I get what?
Another newsletter went out today.
Oh, let me look.
About my global carpenter. Sorry, Kim, there's other clients that you didn't know that I had. But he has been around for 7 years. So.
It's okay. I'm still on 7,000 people on Pinterest.
Summer Showcase, is that what it's called?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Okay. Well, all right. That is definitely, we got a lot to talk about. Send that link, and I might watch some of it.
Yeah, I haven't got it yet, but she said
okay.
So then the next piece says I could stop the recording and start the recording, and we could play with Katie.
Okay, but before you go, when you say you want to spend $500, pardon me, on ads on Facebook, that's total between the two of us. You're not splitting that, or are you splitting that?
That's our initial. She asked me to ask you for between $500 and $1,000. She said, but let's start at 500 and let's see where that takes us over 10 days.
Okay.
So the two ways
from what you're saying, it's not like we should expect much from it.
The thing is, you just don't know.
In the way of conversion, maybe more on the back.
She's going to vet and validate our ads. She's helping the audience. Paige has got 9 different ads that we showed her this morning already.
Okay.
So once all that's together, we'll let you look at it for sure. And
great.
We'll pick a date that we start. Maybe it is February 25th or something. and not February, July 25th. So we'll put that on the calendar, and we'll monitor each day exactly how our ad spend goes and what it looks like.
Okay.
It's exciting. Adulting.
7,000 people on Pinterest.
That like shocks me. That shocks me.
Yeah, and that compares to 25 on Instagram.
Now, does that just mean that our thing was on the screen as they were scrolling through? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about click-throughs? Do we have any click-throughs?
We're not at that point yet. We've just been populating the boards.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think. Are you in this Facebook? I'm just saying if you're in the it says 9 members. It's called Facebook. Yeah, you should be able to see it. It's called Facebook Ad Brainstorm.
It's a group?
It's in
Oh, it's a Dropbox.
Facebook Ad Brainstorming, it's called.
Okay, so look in there.
You can see the images that we looked at from Shutterstock that we thought would be appropriate for. If not, I'll get Paige to send you a link. But it says there's 9 members in the group. I just can't open up it just doesn't want to let me open up to see who it is.
Okay.
But there's lots of fun images. I mean, if you can see, but
yeah,
kind of imagination images that. Sorry, doing it from my phone, so it's not very easy. But lots. Anyway, they're all in there.
Okay.
This is probably my favorite one. Is like this magic box with all these ideas and bulbs. The type of ad that you would look at on Facebook.
I have a picture like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's 9 or so in there, and then we'll narrow it down to 6, and then run 6, and then we'll be down to 2 within a few days.
Whoa.
I know, fun, huh? Okay, let me just see if there's anything else I don't have on my list. That's Andrew's list, so it wouldn't be on that one. Nope, just the reveal.
Okay. Let me just go grab a drink.
Sure. Yeah. So, talking out loud, Kotter is a talker who never shuts up. Maddie is a talker who never shuts up. I got home last night and I said to Debbie, I felt like keeping my earplugs in the car because she just didn't stop. But she was she is a thinker. She processes everything, highly analytical, overanalyzes, best friends with Emily and Charlotte. But Emily's too busy reading, so she spends more time with Charlotte. Wants a boyfriend in the worst way. What does that mean, in the worst way?
So she's boy crazy. So Katie is your typical, your typical high school student who is, you know, the popular girl, and she's beautiful, but she doesn't know how beautiful she is. So she, and she's kind of boy crazy. Although we didn't really talk about that much in the book.
Yeah.
We focus more on Peter, who is, you know, hot for her, but she doesn't like Peter.
Gymnast, competitive, cheerleader, loves to stay up late. So is she constantly texting and Snapchatting? And
yeah, she is attached to her phone. She's the popular girl. But she really doesn't want any extra attention because she doesn't have great self-esteem.
Okay. But she's a procrastinator.
She's a procrastinator. When we developed her, she's a procrastinator, but we didn't put anything in the book with which she procrastinates.
No, I didn't think so. Yeah.
We did put in there that she's into fashion, like shopping, and you know. Yeah,
she's a clothes horse and
likes to spend time at the mall shopping.
The captain of the football team likes her.
Okay, and then the actual gift of reason and the scales. Why did you give that one to her?
Why did we give her the gift of reason? because Katie was last.
Oh, great. Definitely not going in the video.
So she's a thinker. We have that she's a thinker. And so that's the gift of reason, is thinking. So she processes and she thinks about stuff, and, you know,
she internalizes. So you don't always know what she's thinking, because she's just, you know, internalizing and mulling it over. And if you recall from the end of the book, when it dawns on her, everyone else is figuring out their gift and she hasn't figured hers out. And now it becomes more urgent to her. And she just tries and tries and tries to put the pieces together, but she just can't make it all gel until the end.
So, like, one of the differences between her and Charlotte is that Charlotte is going to blurt out what's in her mind in a forceful way, where Katie is going to think about it and be more methodical. And, you know, she's still an impulsive teenager, but she's just not going to, she holds her cards closer, I guess, you know.
You know the book better than me, but wasn't there an instance where Katie had bad thoughts and they ended up somewhere where she didn't believe that they could get back?
Charlotte had bad thoughts.
Charlotte. Okay.
Charlotte had bad thoughts.
I thought Katie did one of those as well. No?
Well, so Charlotte did it when they, after the maze, right? They ended up at the castle.
Yeah. And after that, there was another one.
No, the castle was the last chapter. So.
Oh, sorry. But before that, then there was another one that they. Oh.
Katie's very skeptical. She's skeptical of the stuff. Her and Charlotte are pretty skeptical. But I don't remember a specific incident of Katie doing that.
I'm not sure. There's something in the back of my head, but
I remember, okay, so Katie, what happens is they have the big moment where they start putting blame on Katie for everything, because they kind of figure out what's been happening to them, and they make the connection that it's their thoughts and their thinking that's taking them from place to place. And so what they do is it comes, you know, we were doing this and then Katie said this and then the lightning struck. You know, Katie she expresses that skepticism, you know, in the stable, you know, at the, you know, tree house. She's mad because Mason won't stay and talk to them and give her the answers. And so there's a pattern of her being negative and doubtful at each transition where they get transported. And so when they finally figure that out, then they kind of like all eyes turn to her and she starts crying, right? Something like that.
And then,
not my fault.
The scales themselves, I mean, I've only got a picture in my brain right now, so are they like the old-fashioned scales that you'd have on a counter with a pivot in the middle? And how does it stay on her finger then?
Because they're tiny.
I don't know that it actually.
Is there a base to the pivot then, or?
She can hold them in her hand, or she can hold them by the top, and either way.
But is it a sort of T-shape with the two chains?
Right. Yeah.
But it's more of a miniature version.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, if you had them, they'd probably be sizable, you know?
Yes.
But because we have a point where she puts them in the dress.
She puts them in her hidden pocket.
Yeah, in the dress.
Okay.
But the dress has all that poofiness, so.
Are they made out of
or whatever?
Are they made out of a particular metal or alloy or anything, or?
We don't talk about that.
All right. But obviously we've got the scale in the drawing, but I couldn't.
Well, the scale in the drawing is really good.
Yeah.
The scale and the drawing is really good.
All right. Okay. Sounds fun.
So, Kim, do we want to say anything about how they're transported and the scale has something to do with it, or not go there?
I think it might be intriguing to say something as it relates to Sydney's gift, because Sydney sees the thunder and lightning in the crystal, and then the scales go out of balance. But first, Katie says her negative thought kind of.
So the scale works in balance by her thoughts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So maybe we just kind of talk about that. Because we didn't mention anything. Did we mention about the lightning in Sydney's? I don't think we mentioned anything like that with Sydney.
No.
Just that whatever he imagines, he sees in his crystal.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did Sydney, then we did Emily, then we did James, and now we're doing Katie.
Okay.
But then the next will be Peter, right?
Peter and Charlotte are our last ones. Yeah. Okay.
Charlotte.
The favorite comes now.
Favorite.
I love Charlotte.
I'm stopping the recording.